So, LarpCon happened, and yes, before anyone says it, it was entirely on Discord. No convention center, no booths, no lines, just a bunch of voice channels and stage channels that were supposed to be VidCon, but if it was for LARPtubers. Honestly, I thought it was really cool. People could go and hang out, host panels, tell stories, answer questions, all of that. The concept was actually awesome. But, the way it was executed, not so much. But just a disclaimer, this is my experience with it and what happened from my perspective. Because somehow, I ended up hosting someone else's panel. When the server opened, everyone was joining voice channels and trying to figure everything out. But the only problem was, everyone didn't know what to do. People kept asking when LARP Mingo's panel was, because that's like the only reason people were there. And then every time they got an answer, another person chimed in with a different answer. And then once there was an announcement about it, that would change like 5 minutes later. So I thought it was just like a rough start, but then I like realized this was the event. And like, I was looking forward to doing my own panel, and I kept checking the schedule and looking through the channels, waiting for someone to ping me. But nothing. I didn't have one. No explanation, no message, nothing. So I spent a while just like hopping between channels, trying to figure out where I was supposed to like do my panel. But I didn't have one. But eventually, it was time for LARP Daily's panel, and he is the other Dennis LARPtuber. And then people joined his stage channel, and then there was people there. People were waiting. A few more people joined, and then like 5 minutes later, he still wasn't there. So I ended up messaging Mr. LARPshot, and he told me I could take over his panel. Like, that wasn't my intent. I wanted to have my own panel. Instead, now I kind of felt like I was taking over his identity, and I felt kind of bad about that. But whatever. The panel I was most excited for was getting the LARP pals together. Basically, my version of the pals. It was supposed to be me, Coral, Alex, and Sketch. I thought we'd all get into a call and answer questions and all that, but instead, Sketch never joined. Alex was muted the entire time. Like literally muted the entire panel. Like, we'd ask him something, and he wouldn't respond. And his excuse was like he was watching an anime. So it basically just became me and Coral talking the entire time. And I realized this wasn't really the LARP pals. It was just two guys in a call trying to convince everyone that it was still a panel. The funniest part of this whole event was how every panel eventually became just like playing a game. Like, I'm serious, a panel would start normally, people would introduce themselves, someone would ask a question, and everything was going fine, all that, yabba yabba yabba. But then someone would like the person like hosting the panel, they would just like start sharing the screen after like it got dry. And so they just start playing Roblox and their joins would be on or stuff like that. And then, like, I'm a victim to this too. Like, even my panel, we ended up playing Mecha Chameleon. But yeah, so half the entire panel would just be in a game. And it happened over and over again. Like, even LarpCub, like in her video about LarpCon, she mentioned that. But eventually I stopped being surprised about this. And that was just what would happen. But I think the biggest problem was just how unorganized everything felt. Like, I know that sounds, but from my perspective, it seemed like the organizers had a great idea, but underestimated how much time it takes to run like an event like that. Like, the panels, they would start late because people were like sleeping in or just like not showing up in general. And so then panels got moved. People didn't know like what voice channel to join, which I don't know how they got confused. There was one channel that said panels, and the rest of them were just like voice chats. But announcements were coming after things had already started. It felt like everyone was like not really knowing what to do. I don't think anyone was like trying to make a bad event. They just like bit off more than they could chew, I think. But looking back, it sounds kind of funny. Like, I went into LarpCon expecting to watch creator panels, having my own panel, but instead, I stole someone's panel, and I still feel bad about that. But I tried to reunite the LARP pals, and it just turned into me and Coral talking while Alex had muted and Sketch never showed up. And then I watched creator panels slowly transform into just Roblox gaming, just that's all it would be, and that's not how I imagined it going. I'll say, I think that LarpCon sounded like a really cool event. It seemed very interesting. There was going to be a lot of people. There was going to be LARP Mingo, there was going to be LARP Daily, there was going to be everyone that you knew. But it didn't work like that. It became dry. Panels only lasted 30 minutes. And then they'd go on to the next person, and then sometimes panels would only have 2 people in there. That's all it would be, because it was so unorganized. There wouldn't be any announcements, and then the people who were hosting the panels, they couldn't make an announcement because they didn't have permission to do that. Then LarpShot, he I don't know how, one of his the other owner, I think, he got into an argument, and then he banned the guy for abusing the swear jar thing when he wasn't abusing it. The swear jar is this thing that counts how many swears you have, and so apparently he was abusing that somehow. He honestly he wasn't, but whatever. And so they got kicked or banned or whatever, and then everyone was mad at him, and they were just roasting him in the announcements channel. It was very chaotic. One thing I will say is, I don't know if I'll go to the next LarpCon. It was very fun this year. I did like it, but it didn't work out. It really didn't. But who knows? Maybe LarpCon 2027 will redeem it. Maybe we'll get better owners, older people. I want at least people who are 16 to host it. That'd be way better. But I'll always remember that I met some really cool people from LarpCon. I have some really nice friends I met there, and I won't forget that. That was one of my favorite things. So, yeah. Thanks for listening to my side of the entire little thing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.